The impossible discovery, the massive crystalline spires of the Valdorian research station. Omega-7 hummed with quantum energy. Dr. Kethel adjusted his six-limbed frame as he studied the latest sensor readings from the deep space monitoring array. His translucent blue skin flickered with bioluminescent patterns of concentration. For 3 centuries, the Valdorian Galactic Confederation had been the undisputed masters of technology in this sector of the galaxy. Their ships moved through folded space using quantum tunnel drives. Their weapons manipulated matter at the subatomic level. Their computers processed information using crystalline matrices that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Every aspect of Valdorian technology was based on precise mathematical models and centuries of theoretical research. That's why the readings on Dr. Kethel's screens made absolutely no sense. Senior researcher Velinor, he called to his assistant, his voice creating harmonic frequencies that resonated through the air. Please verify these sensor readings. I believe our equipment may be malfunctioning. Velinor's smaller form scuttled across the laboratory on 4 legs, her silver skin showing patterns of curiosity. She examined the data with her 3 compound eyes, each one capable of seeing across multiple spectrums simultaneously. The readings appear accurate, Doctor. We have detected a spacecraft approaching our outer perimeter. But look at the propulsion. Signature Kethel gestured with 2 of his arms, while the other 4 continued working at different control panels. The vessel appears to be using controlled chemical explosions for thrust. Chemical explosions. Velinor, that technology is over 5,000 years obsolete. Velinor's skin patterns shifted to show confusion. Perhaps it is an archaeological vessel, some kind of historical recreation. At 7/10 the speed of light, no historical recreation moves that fast. Dr. Kethel manipulated the holographic display to show the approaching vessel in greater detail. What he saw defied every principle of advanced engineering he knew. The ship was crude beyond belief. Its hull appeared to be constructed from simple metallic alloys, welded together in straight lines and angular connections. No elegant curves or energy flow optimization. No quantum coherent materials or dimensional stabilizers. It looked like something a primitive civilization might build in their first century of spaceflight. Yet somehow, this ugly metal tube was moving faster than most Valdorian scout ships. Initiate contact protocols, Kethel ordered. If this is indeed a functioning vessel, we must learn more about its unusual characteristics. The communication array activated, sending out standard first contact frequencies across multiple spectrums. For several minutes, there was no response. Then, crackling through the speakers came a voice speaking in what the translation matrix identified as an unknown language. This is Captain Alina Vasquez of the Earth vessel Wayward Pioneer. We're receiving your transmission but having trouble with the translation. Can you switch to standard galactic common? Dr. Kethel exchanged glances with Velinor. Earth was not in any of their star charts. Unknown vessel, this is Dr. Kethel of Valdorian Research Station Omega-7. We are speaking in galactic common. Perhaps your translation equipment requires adjustment. A pause, then laughter. Actual audible laughter coming through the communication system. Doc, we don't have translation equipment. I learned galactic common from a trader I met in the Epsilon sector 3 years ago. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. This was impossible. Galactic common was an incredibly complex language that incorporated quantum linguistic principles and multidimensional grammar structures. It typically required cybernetic implants and years of study to master. No organic mind could learn it through casual conversation. "Captain Vasquez," Kethel said carefully, "would you be willing to dock with our station? We are curious about your vessel's propulsion system." "Sure thing, Doc. Fair warning though, we're running on backup power right now. Our main engine is making some weird noises, so we had to shut it down and switch to the secondary drive. We'll probably come in a bit slow. Backup power. What happened to your primary propulsion?" "Oh, the usual. One of the fuel injectors got clogged with debris from that asteroid field we passed through yesterday. Maria, that's our engineer. She's working on it now. Should have it fixed in an hour or two." Dr. Kethel felt his skin patterns shift to deep purple with shock. This primitive vessel had flown through an asteroid field and sustained damage to its propulsion system, yet it was still operational and maintaining near light speeds. Valdorian ships would have deployed energy shields and gravitational to avoid any contact with debris. As the human ship approached the docking bay, Dr. Kethel and a full research team gathered to observe. What they saw challenged everything they thought they knew about spacecraft design. The wayward Pioneer was even more primitive up close. Its hull showed obvious signs of repair work, patches of different colored metal welded over what were presumably holes or damaged sections. Scorch marks from atmospheric entry, dents and scratches from impacts. Yet the ship moved with surprising grace, its crude chemical thrusters firing in precise sequences to navigate the docking procedure perfectly. Captain Alina Vasquez was the first to emerge from the airlock. She was tall for a human, with dark skin and short black hair. Her uniform appeared to be made from simple woven fabric rather than smart materials or nanoweave. Most shocking of all, she walked on only 2 legs and had just 2 arms, like all humans apparently did. "Dr. Kethel," she asked, extending one hand in what the cultural database identified as a greeting gesture. "Thanks for letting us dock. We were running low on water anyway." "Water," Velinor whispered. "They use water." "For drinking, mostly," Captain Vasquez replied, apparently having heard the quiet comment, "though we also use it for cooling the engine systems and the life support. Recyclers. Pretty versatile stuff." Dr. Kethel stared at this human captain. She was using water, simple H2O, as a multi-purpose engineering fluid. Every Valdorian system used specialized synthetic compounds designed at the molecular level for specific functions. "Captain," he said slowly, "we are very interested in learning about your propulsion technology. Our sensors indicate that your vessel is achieving remarkable speeds using what appears to be primitive chemical combustion." Alina laughed again. "Primitive. Yeah, I guess it is pretty old school. We're burning methane and liquid oxygen in a controlled explosion chamber. The expanding gases get channeled through the reaction chamber and out the nozzle to create thrust. Basic Newton's third law stuff. But how do you achieve such velocity with such a simple system?" "Well," Alina scratched her head with one hand while gesturing with the other, "we've gotten pretty good at optimizing the fuel mixture and the combustion chamber design. Plus, we added some tricks we picked up along the way. Want to see the engine room?" Dr. Kethel found himself nodding eagerly. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to study technology that shouldn't work, but clearly did. The human ship's interior was just as shocking as its exterior. Cables and pipes ran along the walls in seemingly random patterns. Control panels appeared to be assembled from dozens of different components, none of which matched the others. Everything looked improvised, temporary, held together with metallic tape and mechanical fasteners. Yet every system was functioning perfectly. "This is our main engine," Alina said proudly, leading them into a chamber that throbbed with barely contained power. The engine itself was a massive cylinder surrounded by pipes, gauges, and control systems. We rebuilt it completely after our last major overhaul. Maria designed a new fuel injection system that improved our efficiency by 15%. A human female emerged from beneath the engine, her face and clothing stained with dark lubricants. "Hey Alina, got that clogged injector cleared out? Should be good to fire up the main drive whenever you want. This is Maria Santos, our chief." Engineer Alina said. "Maria, meet Dr. Kethel and his team. They're interested in how our engines work." Maria wiped her hands on a cloth and grinned. "Oh, you want the technical explanation? It's pretty straightforward, really. We take methane and liquid oxygen, inject them into the combustion chamber at precisely the right ratio and timing, ignite the mixture with a plasma spark, and channel the expanding gases through our reaction chamber. The chamber walls are lined with a ceramic composite we developed that can handle the extreme temperatures and pressures." Dr. Kethel examined the engine more closely. What he saw made no sense from an engineering perspective. The fuel lines were obviously hand-welded. The control systems used mechanical switches and analog gauges instead of quantum processors. The entire assembly looked like it had been built in someone's garage. How do you prevent resonance cascade failures in the combustion matrix? He asked, using technical terminology from Valdorian engine design. Maria looked confused. "Resonance cascade, what?" "Doc, if the engine starts making funny noises, we shut it down and fix whatever's broken. That's about as complicated as our safety protocols get. But without quantum coherent field stabilizers, how do you maintain propulsion efficiency across variable space-time densities?" "I have no idea what any of those words mean," Maria replied cheerfully. "We just keep the fuel flowing, the mixture burning, and the reaction chamber pointed in the right direction. Works pretty well so far." Dr. Kethel felt his worldview crumbling. These humans were using technology that violated every principle of advanced engineering, yet they were achieving results that matched or exceeded Valdorian capabilities. "Captain Vasquez," he said slowly, "would you be willing to remain docked for several days? We would very much like to study your technology in greater detail." "Sure, as long as you don't mind us using your facilities to do some maintenance work. We need to replace a few components and top off our consumables." "What kind of components?" Velinor asked. Alina consulted a handheld device that appeared to be made from plastic and metal. "Let's see. We need new air filters for the life support system, some spare fuses for the electrical systems, a few meters of insulated wire, and about 20 kilos of that metallic tape we use for emergency repairs." Dr. Kethel stared at the list. These humans were maintaining an interstellar spacecraft, using air filters, fuses, wire, and tape. Components so simple that most Valdorian children would consider them primitive toys. Yet somehow it all worked. As the human crew went about their maintenance tasks over the next few days, Dr. Kethel and his team observed everything with growing amazement. They watched Maria repair a damaged control panel by removing components from a spare unit and installing them with hand tools. They saw the crew's medic treat a minor injury using simple chemical compounds and fabric bandages. They observed the navigator plot a course to their next destination using printed star charts and manual calculations. Everything the humans did was crude, primitive, and inefficient by Valdorian standards. Everything they did also worked perfectly and achieved results that matched or exceeded what advanced Valdorian systems could accomplish. The most shocking discovery came when Dr. Kethel asked Captain Vasquez about their faster-than-light drive. "We don't have FTL," Elena replied casually. "We're still working on that. Right now, we just use really efficient sublight engines and take advantage of gravitational slingshot effects around stars and planets. Takes longer to get places, but it's reliable. But our sensors indicated you were traveling at 7/10 light speed." Velinor protested. "Yeah, that's about our maximum cruise velocity. We can push it to about 85% of light speed if we really need to, but that burns through fuel pretty quickly." Dr. Kethel felt faint. These humans were achieving near light speeds using primitive chemical rockets and gravitational mechanics. The Valdorian Confederation had assumed that such velocities were impossible without quantum tunnel drives or dimensional fold technology. "How?" he whispered. Elena shrugged. "Really good engineering and a lot of practice. Plus, we're not afraid to push our equipment to its limits. Sometimes you've got to take risks to get where you're going." As the human ship prepared to depart, Dr. Kethel realized that everything he thought he knew about technology and engineering had been fundamentally wrong. The Valdorians had spent centuries developing increasingly complex and sophisticated systems based on theoretical models and mathematical proofs. The humans had simply built things that worked and kept improving them through trial and error, and somehow the humans were winning. The technology exchange, 3 weeks after the encounter with the wayward pioneer. Dr. Kethel found himself standing before the High Council of the Valdorian Confederation. The crystalline chamber reflected light in patterns that would have been beautiful under normal circumstances. But today, the atmosphere was tense with confusion and concern. High Counselor Zethara raised her primary appendage for silence. Her ancient form showed the deep blue patterns of serious contemplation. "Dr. Kethel, your preliminary report has caused considerable discussion among the Council. Please summarize your findings for the record." Dr. Kethel activated his data crystals, projecting holographic displays of the human vessel and its impossible technology. "Honored counselors, the humans represent a completely new approach to technological development, where we have spent millennia perfecting theoretical models before implementation. They appear to build functional devices through practical experimentation and iterative improvement." "You mean they guess?" Counselor Yethana's patterns showed skepticism. "No, honored counselor. They test. They build something, see if it works, identify problems, fix those problems, and repeat the process until they achieve the desired result. They call it engineering." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The concept was alien to Valdorian thinking, where every component was precisely calculated and modeled before construction began. "High Counselor." Zethara gestured for continued silence. "What are the practical implications of this approach?" "Their technology is remarkably robust and adaptable. When systems fail, they repair them quickly using available materials. When faced with new challenges, they modify existing equipment rather than developing entirely new theoretical frameworks. Most importantly, they are not limited by what our models say should be possible." The chamber erupted in concerned discussions. For centuries, the Valdorians had prided themselves on their perfectly calculated, theoretically sound technology. The idea that crude experimentation could produce superior results was deeply disturbing. Dr. Kethel, High Counselor, said finally, "We are authorizing you to conduct a comprehensive study of human technology. Take whatever resources you need. We must understand how this is possible." 2 months later, Dr. Kethel stood on the observation deck of the Human Research Station, designated Cobalt Base. The facility orbited a gas giant in an unnamed system, its modular construction allowing for easy expansion and modification. Unlike the elegant spires of Valdorian architecture, Cobalt Base looked like it had been assembled from shipping containers and industrial modules. It was also 3 times larger than any comparable Valdorian facility and had been built in a fraction of the time. "Welcome to our little corner of the galaxy," said Dr. Rebecca Chen, the station's director. She was a small human with graying hair and laugh lines around her eyes. "I understand you want to learn about human engineering methods. Indeed. We are particularly interested in understanding how you achieve such remarkable results with apparently primitive technology." Dr. Chen laughed. "Primitive? I suppose it depends on your perspective. Come on, let me show you around." The tour began. In the station's manufacturing facility, Dr. Keffel expected to see automated assembly systems guided by quantum processors and dimensional fabricators. Instead, he found humans working alongside simple mechanical devices, cutting, welding, and assembling components by hand. "This is our prototype development lab," Dr. Chen explained as they watched a team of humans assembling what appeared to be a new type of engine. "When we have an idea for a new design, we build a working model as quickly as possible. Then we test it, see what breaks, fix those problems, and test it again." "But how do you ensure theoretical compatibility with established physical principles?" Dr. Kethel asked. "We don't worry about theory much," replied the lead engineer, a burly man named James Peterson. "We worry about what works. If something violates theoretical principles but produces the results we need, we figure out why it works later." Dr. Kethel watched in fascination as the human team installed the new engine in a test vehicle. The entire process took less than 4 hours. A comparable Valdorian project would have required months of theoretical modeling and computer simulation before construction even began. "Now we test it," James said cheerfully, climbing into the test vehicle's pilot seat. "Want to see what this baby can do?" The test flight was terrifying. The prototype engine made alarming noises, produced irregular thrust patterns, and filled the test chamber with smoke. By Valdorian standards, it was a complete failure, but it worked. The vehicle achieved its design objectives and returned safely to the launch platform. "Not bad for a first run," James said, examining readouts from the test. "The fuel mixture needs adjustment, and we've got some vibration issues in the secondary thrust chamber. Should have those sorted out by tomorrow." Dr. Kethel's patterns showed amazement. "You can fix those problems in 1 day. Sure, the fuel mixture is just a matter of adjusting the injection ratios. The vibration issue looks like a resonance problem with the chamber mounting. We'll just add some dampening materials and see if that helps." Dr. Keffel spent the next several weeks observing human engineering practices. What he discovered challenged every assumption about technological development he had ever held. Humans didn't start with perfect designs. They started with working designs and made them better. When something broke, they fixed it immediately rather than analyzing the failure for months. When they encountered new problems, they found creative solutions using whatever materials were available. Most shocking of all, they weren't afraid to fail. Valdorian engineers spent years ensuring that their designs would work perfectly on the first attempt. Human engineers expected their first attempts to fail and built that expectation into their development process. "Failure is just information," Dr. Chen explained during one of their discussions. "Every failure tells us something we didn't know before. Every problem we solve makes the next design better. The breakthrough moment came when Dr. Kethel observed the humans dealing with a serious system failure. A critical power conduit had ruptured during a storm, threatening to shut down the entire station. By Valdorian protocols, this would have required weeks of analysis to determine the proper repair procedure and months to manufacture and install replacement components. The human response was immediate and creative. Within hours, they had bypassed the damaged conduit using spare cable, improvised connections, and what they called creative routing. The repair wasn't pretty. Cables ran through corridors and were held in place with metallic tape and mechanical clamps, but it worked perfectly. How did you know that would work? Dr. Kethel asked the repair team leader. We didn't, she replied, but we knew the principles involved, and we had the materials we needed, so we tried it. If it hadn't worked, we would have tried something else. But what if you had caused additional damage? Then we would have fixed that too. Dr. Kethel realized he was witnessing a completely different philosophy of technology. Valdorians sought to prevent all possible failures through perfect design. Humans accepted that failures would happen and focused on recovering from them quickly. The final revelation came when Dr. Kethel asked to examine the station's central computer system. He expected to find quantum processors and crystalline memory matrices, like those used in Valdorian systems. Instead, he found racks of simple electronic devices connected by thousands of cables. The entire system looked like it had been assembled from spare parts. This is our main processing cluster, Dr. Chen said proudly. We built it from standard commercial components, nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. Dr. Kethel examined the specifications. The human system was processing data at rates that exceeded the most advanced Valdorian quantum computers. How is this possible? These components are so ... basic. That's the beauty of it, Dr. Chen replied. Simple components are reliable and easy to replace. When something breaks, we swap in a new module and keep running. No need for specialized technicians or exotic materials. But quantum systems can process multiple probability states simultaneously. Sure, but they're also fragile and require perfect conditions to operate. Our system might not be as elegant, but it works anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. Sometimes reliability is more important than sophistication. Dr. Kethel spent his final week at Cobalt Base working alongside human engineers on actual projects. He learned to use their tools, simple devices that could cut, shape, and join materials without requiring quantum field manipulation or dimensional phase alignment. He watched them solve problems by trying different approaches until they found one that worked. Most importantly, he learned to think like a human engineer. Instead of asking what does the theory say should work, he began asking what do we need this to do and what materials do we have available. The results were revolutionary. Working with human methods, Dr. Kethel designed and built a functional device in 3 days that would have taken his team 3 months to complete using traditional approaches. When it came time to return to Valdorian space, Dr. Kethel carried with him more than just technical specifications and performance data. He carried a new understanding of what technology could be. His final report to the High Council was brief but earth-shaking. The humans have not failed to develop advanced technology. They have succeeded in developing something better, technology that works. The implications rippled through Valdorian society. For the first time in their history, they began to question whether they're perfectly calculated. theoretically pure approach to technology was actually inferior to human trial and error engineering. Some Valdorian scientists began experimenting with human methods, building crude prototypes and learning from failures. Others insisted that their traditional approaches were superior and that human success was merely a statistical anomaly. But deep in the research stations and development laboratories, a quiet revolution was beginning. Young Valdorian engineers were starting to ask dangerous questions. What if the best solution isn't the most elegant one? What if making things work is more important than understanding why they work? The humans had introduced more than just new technology to the galaxy. They had introduced a new way of thinking about technology itself. And across the Valdorian Confederation, that new way of thinking was taking root, one practical solution at a time.